Welcome, ninjas, to a long shot production. In this series, we're going to cover how to create a pop song from scratch. We're going to cover everything from arrangement, mixing, and even mastering. Stay tuned.
Smiley!
Welcome, ninjas, back to a long shot production. We are creating a pop song from scratch. Now, if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button below, hit that like button if you like the video, and leave a comment below if you have any questions. All right, back into our recording here. Now, I want to apologize ahead of time. I actually started to make the video without hitting record. All right, I did it. But I only managed to do one track, and I'm going to quickly go through this track and show you exactly what I did from scratch. So I was considering in the percussions, I wanted to add a hi hat type-ish deal thingy percussion idea. I don't even know into my idea here, and it sounds like this. So you hear it, right? All right, you get the picture. All right, I don't need to spell it out for you. All right, so what I did is I used an arcade patch. Arcade is a new plugin that I'm not too familiar with, but I've been using it, and so I just went through here. I went through here, and then I selected, I went to the, instead of hi-hat, selected one of these, and I clicked load. It was that easy. You don't have to use aid. I'm trying it out, and so just to give it a test and see how it goes. So what it does is it allows you to just download a few samples, and I downloaded a loop from their plugin. I had to actually go online to do that. I generally, to avoid distractions, I always record offline. So anyway, that being said, I downloaded a few patches from them. I tested some out, and I used that one there. And what I did is I added a little bit of saturation, right? So without this saturation, right? And generally I don't do saturation until I'm starting in the mixing phase, but I really wanted to hear the sound a little bit better and kind of get an idea of, and feel for it, right? Because it wasn't hitting for me, but I kind of like the sound. So I added some saturation during the arrangement. So this is the Decapitator plugin that I used to create some distortion type deal for the percussions. So I'll let you hear it before and after. So we A/B it. Huge difference. I know. Right, so I selected this style here. I think it's the EMI style. I could be wrong. You just play around with the settings here and see how they all sound to you. I like the E setting. I think the P's and the T's are usually used on drums, but hey, there's no fucking rules of music. Okay, so what I did, and then I started I cut the frequency out for the sound. Now, generally, the rule is with frequency EQing is to EQ in the whole context of the song, and don't start EQing in solo because it might sound completely different, right? So what I did with the EQ is I removed some low end, and that actually just cleaned things up for me. So EQ is not meant to be extremely noticeable. It is meant to be, it kind of just cleans things up, right? You use it surgically to remove overtones or frequencies that you don't want to hear, or resonances, or anything that's just ugly. Sometimes you use it to just add a little bit more presence or warmth or air, or whatever the case is. It's not meant to significantly change your sound, right? Just keep that in mind. All right, so I EQ'd it just to get rid of the lower frequencies from the sound. And then what I do when I don't use return tracks often, okay? And the reason is because I use Ableton. Ableton limits you to 12 return tracks. I don't understand the design behind that, but that's the way it is. So what I do is I use groups for my effects on the tracks, and so it causes you a little bit more grief because you have to do a little bit more work. But hey, you're in the music field, there's always going to be work. Period. Takes me an extra few seconds to just add a plugin and alter it. And this way it gives you a little bit more control too. So what I do is I added a verb plugin. I use Verb Suite Classics, and I made it into a room verb. I set it at about 1.52 seconds, add a little bit of chorus and increase the width of it, a little bit of pre-delay, and this allows the transits to pop through and you're hearing that just kind of sound, right? And then I add a little bit of high shelf to it just so they stand out a bit more in the presence, or more airy, I guess you could say. And so what I do is I drop, so I guess I could show you how I do it as a classics. I drop it on, I'm like, hey, I like this one. And then if you keep it at the 100% wet, you're going to hear shit that you don't want to hear. So it's going to be way too much. So you just hold Control, press G to group it. Then you open the folders here and then create a new chain. And then the chain is going to be your dry signal, wet, or verb. Times you add more than one effect, right? Okay, so there you go. I added what this does is allows you a little bit more control of your verb. So say I, altered my verb and, I liked what I did. And I added an EQ. You always EQ your verbs. Don't be so lazy. EQ your verbs. They're not supposed to be the same sound as the sound is going through. And as a rule, it's not. But there's no rules of music. So, and then you use this knob here as the dry wet, right? So I'll just mute this for now. So right now it's super wet, right? Now it's dry. So I guess I'll throw the EQ on there for now, because I always EQ my verbs, and then just bring it in a little bit and see how it sounds. Right? You can hear that, right? So that's how that's done. That's how you create your own return track type deal thingy music, your single tracks. So let's delete that because I'm not. So, okay, there you go. I made this amazing sound. Not really. I downloaded it from Arcade thanks to them. And so that's what I have, right? The song. You can hear it. All right, so next we are going to bring in a kick, and your song, it's your music. Don't copy me, do it yourself. Do your own thing. So I'm not sure if I want to do every beat with the kick or if I want to do it every time the chord progression changes, but we'll try the chord progression idea first, just to save me. I have a feeling I'm not going to want to drag and drop. And okay. Before I continue, I want to let you know that I do use MIDI, so too bad for you. I believe this is how I want to do it. All right, so let's see how it sounds. You know what I'm going for next, right? With the snare? Snap, duh. It's a pop song. We're gonna use a snap. Hello, every freaking song out there that's a pop song has a snap in it. Okay, first let's put the MIDI in for this. Gonna change it to sampler. Get rid of the filters. I think we're gonna hit every downbeat, or every upbeat rather. And so what we're gonna do, get rid of these voices. We need one voice. The red trigger on. Now, sometimes a little trick that I use to see if your snap is in tune, because generally with snaps, I like to be a 5 semitones as a rule, 5 semitones above the root note. So our root is sitting at E. Tuner on, and see if we can get a tune on this. Oh, this tuner is not working. Tuner generally works with monophonic sounds, and obviously this is a polyphonic sound. So just to see kind of what frequency we're hitting with the sound. Looks like we're hitting on E, maybe a D sharp. This is our fundamental frequency. Yeah, it looks like a D sharp. So I kind of want to I want to transpose it up a few semitones. We'll set the root key note to... Oh, am I on the right one? Please. The root note is sitting at a D sharp, and I want this to play 6 semitones higher than the root note. So there we go. Sounds better to me. Maybe not to you, but better for me. All right, now reverb. Okay, actually, let's EQ it. Push a low noise coming through. Cool, that worked. I like this program, this plugin. Easier for me because I can select all the different types of verbs I want to use. I know Valhalla is always used, and that's the problem, is Valhalla is always used. Wet. Oops, that's the wrong one. And you can just hear that subtle difference. It's subtle, but it adds just a little bit of crispiness to the top end and makes it stand out just a little bit better. That's the way I like it. So I think the idea we're going to go for next is maybe add some kind of melodic structure, and we'll go from there. So stay tuned.